Welcome back, guys, to another video. And today we're going to be looking at NCAA football primetime games for this year. So, our first primetime game is probably going to be Florida State versus Georgia Tech. I mean, it's in Dublin, Ireland. It's literally, probably the first game of the season. You have to watch it. Sorry, you can't see my face for this one, but it's okay. Okay, Southeast Louisiana, Tulane. It's not very big, but it's in the same state, so I'd say Temple, Oklahoma. Not that big, but yeah, but okay, Notre Dame, Texas A&M. That, fortunately, if you're not Notre Dame and Texas A&M that day, nobody else is going to be watching your favorite game. It's just not possible. Then also Clemson, Georgia is pretty big too, I have to say. Miami, Florida is pretty big. Is there any USC, LSD? That's pretty big. But on to week 2, we have Texas, Michigan. Depending on how good Michigan is this year, and depending on how good Texas is this year, this will be a pretty big game. $376 for, that ticket. But then the Dukes Mayo Classic with my favorite team, the Tennessee Vols, versus NC State will be pretty big too. Are there any big games? Okay, well, of course you got that classic, Iowa State, Iowa. Well, that's big. Well, at least in college basketball it is. Actually, no, we'll be doing college basketball videos too when that starts, so I'd say the college type of sports. Okay, moving on to week 3. Texas A&M, Florida, that's pretty big. Alabama, Wisconsin. Good old Camp Rendell Stadium. It's in Wisconsin, home turf. That could be an upset. I'm not saying it is, but that could potentially be a pretty big game. Then you got the classic Washington State Washington game. That's very big. Oregon State Oregon. That's very big too. Other games here. I haven't even reviewed all the games. Actually, no, I Georgia, Kentucky. I thought Kentucky played home against Georgia last year, didn't they? Moving on to week 4. Tennessee, Oklahoma. That's pretty big. Let's see. Okay, NC State, Clemson. Nobody else gonna be watching that game except for this. It's in Memorial Stadium in Clemson, so yeah. NC State's last 5 compared to their last 5. It's interesting, but I got NC State taking that game. That's pretty big. Moving on to week 5. This week has some interesting games. Well, you got potentially the biggest game of the whole year. Georgia versus Bama in Bryant-Denny Stadium in Alabama. I don't even care what you say. This game is the game of the year. You cannot even say anything. Oklahoma, Auburn's pretty big, but unfortunately, I don't think anybody's going to be watching that game unless you're an Auburn fan. Okay. Yeah, Ohio State, Michigan State. Some people might be watching that. I can see a reason for that. Some people might be watching. Okay, Louisville, Notre Dame. That'll be a big game depending on how good Louisville is this season. Yeah, moving on to week 6. This week is gonna have some very interesting games. Okay, Auburn, Georgia. It's not in Auburn, so it's not that big. If it was in Alabama, then it'd be pretty big. Well, you got national championship rematch. Michigan, Washington. This game is going to be the game of the day. I can't even tell you how big that's going to be. That's going to be pretty big. But then also that same day, you have Clemson, Florida State. From Florida this time. That's going to be an interesting game. That's what I have to say to you. Moving on to week 7. There weren't really any big games except for Texas, Oklahoma, which this game is insane. It collides with my Florida, Tennessee, which I don't like. But, yeah, Texas, Oklahoma, pretty big. But then, Ohio State, Oregon, I'm not going to be watching that game, but I'll watch the highlights, but that game is going to be pretty big. Forget about what I just said. This week in college football will be remembered. Okay, moving on to week 8. Let's see what games we have. Florida State, Duke, maybe. Tennessee, Alabama's that day. But also that same day, we have probably the second biggest game, Georgia, Texas. That game, $319 just for one ticket. And that's the lowest. That's the lowest costing ticket in the whole stadium. So you might wanna check your wallet if you wanna go, cause it ain't happening. Is all I can say to you. Week 9. I think it all has. That's okay. LSU, Texas A&M, not that big. Really depending. Oklahoma, Ole Miss. I'm seeing a potential upset here. Ole Miss might win. Not that big, bruh. Texas, Vanderbilt. If Vanderbilt actually wins, that would be insane. But yeah, Michigan State, Michigan. That'll be big. Honestly, since there's no Jim Harbaugh, honestly, Michigan State might have a chance of winning. I'm not saying they will. Honestly, Wisconsin might be Penn State. That's something that could happen. Texas Tech, TCU, not the biggest, but I can assure you people will be watching that game left and right. Week 10. Week 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All of those will be, the good games. Okay. Ohio State, Penn State. It's the whiteout. And I think Ohio State's going to have some trouble trying to beat Penn State. That game. That will be interestingly hard. Oregon, Michigan. It's in the big house, but, Oregon can definitely bring some pressure. Louisville, Clemson. Not the biggest, but, hey, it made the list. Florida, Georgia. It's not in Florida, so it's not that big to me. But I can assure you a lot of people will still be watching that game. Okay, Florida, Texas. That'll be big. But won't be too big. Alabama, LSU. That could definitely be something big. I completely just skipped past a critical game. Ole Miss, Georgia. Not the biggest, because down here on this list, there's a pretty big game. Washington, Penn State. Wow. Duke, NC State. That's kind of crazy. Week 12. UCLA, Washington. Kind of big. Okay, Tennessee, Georgia. The only reason this game's big is because it's in Georgia. Tennessee gets blown out the water. Sorry, Tennessee. Nobody cares. I guess Oregon, Wisconsin could be big, potentially to some people. I'm not really seeing how that could be big, is my question, but, okay. Alabama, Oklahoma. Honestly, Oklahoma could indeed be Alabama this season, so. Honestly, Oklahoma, I got them making college football playoff. They're not. Oklahoma review video. Might do that. Just might do that. Is that Ohio State? I don't know. But Ole Miss, Florida. really not the biggest, but that's fine, I guess, if you're like a good team or something. But okay, game of the year in my opinion, Texas A&M Texas, $566 for a ticket. I mean, if you're saying that, like, dang, $566 for one ticket. Sorry, guys, I gotta go to Vivid Seats, bro. That's the lowest, bro. $700. That's probably not even the lowest ticket in the whole stadium. $556. 66, my bad. That is darn expensive. Get a whole family? Dang, that's like 10 grand. And then, of course, you got the Iron Bowl. Alabama, Auburn, not as big this year. Everybody's going to be talking about Texas. But also, dang, Florida State. I think Florida might have a chance. No Travis. Washington, Oregon, that's very huge, I'd say. It's the rival week. It's the last week. Michigan, Ohio State. I don't really care about that one. Well, this year. And then two critical games. Big Ten Championship, very big. SEC Championship, big. But I'm interested to see the Big Ten Championship because, well, they added a lot more teams. So, like, for example, Penn State and Washington, bro. Like, hold up. Dude, I'm going to go back to, like, a random week. And I'm going to go look at the Big 12 real quick. Okay, let's go to standings. Look at this, bro. Bro, there's Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Washington, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Michigan, and Iowa. Dude, well, those are the biggest games of the year. Well, at least for the regular season. But, peace. Hope y'all have a great day.